Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Delightful Creations. I'm Amber, and today I've decided that I want to go ahead and bind our journal in. I think I'm pretty much done with doing everything that I would consider doing to this journal as far as having it taken apart page by page. I'm really happy with the way it's laid out, and I just want to do a quick flip through. I know that there's 2 pages. Here's one. I just want to make sure that it's lined up where it's going to get punched with the hole so that it will really hold it in there. And this one's pulled all the way down to the bottom, and then our other page is just cut short. So they're all lined out. I'm going to go ahead and give them a good tap so that I know they're flat. And then I'm going to use my paper clips here to put on each corner. So I do 2 on the top, and then I do 2 on the, well, I do 1 on the sides like this, and then I do the other 2 as soon as I find them. They're underneath. Here they are. On the top part like this so that it holds this page and it kind of keeps it all together. So you can use any type of clip. You can use a binder clip, paper clip, you can use a hair pin, anything like that. So the most important thing is to hold your pages together so they don't move on you. The next important thing is to make sure you're holding your signature the right way. If you have a really simple signature in the middle, you may need to pay attention and, maybe look like this. I know this is going the right way and my cover's going the right way. I have sewed in my signatures wrong. So just be aware of that. I'm not too worried about where the placement is just yet. I do want to go ahead and decide on which color of thread we're going to use. So I've got our light brown. So that would look quite nice here. Pull in some colors from those pine needles. And then we could also use the green. For the green from the pine needles as well. Or, I mean, the pine cones for the brown. Jeez. Pine needles for green. Or we could do a shocker effect and use this red. And so that you'll be expecting red to be throughout the journal. I'm just not a big fan of red. Especially on this cover. I don't think I want red on the cover. So I'm not going to use red. And I would prefer the brown to be just a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and use green. So I'm going to get my floss here. And the way that you measure your floss, or that I've done it, and I've seen many other people do it, is to just hold it down to the bottom of your page and do 3 times the length of your book. That's the easiest way. I mean, I have just left it on the thing and sewed it up myself because you do waste a little bit, but I mean, 3 times is plenty. So I just go like that. So we got 1, and then pull that down, 2, and then pull that down, 3. That should be more than enough. And I'm just going to, oops, sorry guys, I'm just going to cut that off, get that out of our way. And now I'm going to grab my needle. And I'm using these ones here, Yarnology. They are embroidery needles, and these ones are size 20, so they have a really decent eye on them. You can get the needle, the thread through the needle a lot easier the bigger the needle head is. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to put this embroidery floss through there without any problems. I have tried the finger rolling tip. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I just find it to be more tricky than not. Now I've broken off my thumbnail, and that's how I usually get it in there. I push it through with my fingernail. So this end is kind of messed up now, so I'm just going to trim that off. Just like that, a little snip. And squish those threads down. Get it through the needle head. There we go. Perfect. Once you have that through, you can do a tie off if you want to onto your needle, or you can just hold on to it. I have done it both ways. The easiest way is to just tie it off so you know you're not going to lose your thread. You're not going to pull your needle through and worry about losing your thread and then have to go back and redo all your work. So I'm just going to tie it off. I just do a double knot really fast. I say really fast and then it's not so fast, right? So there we go. Okay, now we're ready to sew. I'm going to get our needles out of the way. I'm going to take our awl and I'm just going to eyeball where the middle is. So here's my awl. On our signature. I'm not worried about the cover just yet. Go ahead and squish that down in there. Okay, so I'm going to go like that. Looks like that's about the middle to me. I'm going to close my book in half and hold on to the awl in my right hand because I'm right-handed, and I'm just going to push really carefully through all of the pages, and I'm going to hold my hand like this so that I don't punch a hole where my hand's going to be. So I'm just going to push, 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 and now we see that there is a hole there. You guys can see the tip of this. And then I like to hold the pages again, and I go back through because I know that we're going to put 2 holes. I'm going to thread through this hole twice. So I need it to be a pretty decent sized hole. Now I'm going to take our needle and I'm just going to go right through that hole. Super easy. Pull, pull, pull. And I'm going to leave a decent amount on the inside. This is going to be what you'll see on the inside. If I need to pull more, I can. I'm not worried about that. So now I have it threaded through here. I have to decide where to put it on our journal. Okay, so that's the part that gets kind of tricky. I don't measure exact. It bothers me. I'm not very good with doing it. So I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to take my finger. I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. And I'm going to pull the book page down to the top of my fingernail. And I can feel underneath of there where the edge of my fingernail is. And I'm going to bring that back up here to the top. And put my fingernail on the top of it. And feel where my fingernail is. So I know that that right here is basically the center of my book. You can go ahead and measure yours the way you want to. I've also done it where I use my fingernail. I've taken a scrap piece of paper. You can use graph paper. You can use whatever you want to. So then I know that that's sitting where I want it to. I'm going right through that same hole where our thread is at. And I'm going to go and I'm going to push hard enough so that it goes on the spine. And just leave a mark for right now, just so I can hopefully see where it's at. And let's pull that back out, see if it works. See, there we go. There's a little tiny hole right here. So I know that that's the middle, and I know that this is our spine, and it's not quite in the center of our spine, right? So I'm going to go over just a little bit, and I'm going to push all the way through. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to shut it and push all the way through. And it's a really hard cardboard. And again, you have to go through here twice. So I do it from the inside and then I go back to the outside, push back through there. Okay, super easy. Alrighty, get our book signature back in here, grab our needle right through that hole. And you can punch all 3 of your holes at once if you want. It is a little bit more difficult to get your book to be lined up if you do that. Now this is still going to slide around, okay? So now we have to go through our cover and then through our pages. So this is where it doesn't necessarily get tricky. You just have to pay attention because I know that I want this one to be lined up here, but I don't want my hole way up here at the top. I want it sort of down here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch the hole through my papers again. And there's still a lot of room. You can still pull this up. It's not latched in there or anything. Just going to punch a hole through our signature. Same thing. Watch your fingers. And hold on to it and push, push, push all the way through all those papers. And the more papers you have, the harder it is to get this thing to go through there. And I'm going to go back through there just to make that hole a little bit bigger. Pull my string out because it was sliding on me. Then I'm going to use my hole, whoops, and get this thing lined back up. Measure, pull it down a little. So right about there is where I'm going to want the hole for the cover. Give it a good little press and... Yep, that actually worked pretty good. It's right there in the middle. So I'm just going to continue that hole through the cover. I do mine separately like that because there's way too hard. This cardboard that I've used for this cover, there's no way that I'm going to like punch an extreme hole through there if I tried to go through it all. So there we go. We're going to take our needle. We're going to go right through our cover. You'll see it come through on the inside. Pull it tight as soon as I grab that needle. I'm going to pull that tight. And I'm going to go through the signature. It's super easy. And you pull it on the inside, okay? Grab it and pull, give a nice tug. And I left enough space here that if I want to pull it again, I can. So now we're starting to get an idea of what this is going to look like. I didn't even think about having the green on the inside of this page, but that's quite nice because there's a pine tree here as well. Just worked out really nicely, and I didn't really even have to try that hard. So you might want to pay attention to that if your middle signature page, if you're using an extreme color is what I call it. Somehow my paper clip popped off. Like I said, I've got so many pages in here and these paper clips aren't the best, but it does do its job. So now we're going to go back through the bottom, and the way that I'm going to measure that is the same thing. I'm going to take my finger and it's about 1 inch. So I'm going to go about right here. Looks good to me. Punch a hole through our papers. And once you've done this a few times, you'll get the hang of it. You just have to be kind of careful. And I just lost the tail of our string. It came back out. See? So I have to re-thread. So pull it all the way back out. That's why you should tie a knot, guys. Go back in the middle. But I chose not to. That was my fault. I was trying to save time, but now look at me. Now I'm going back through here and weaving a pattern. Just go back through there. It's not that big a deal. And I'm actually kind of glad that it happened, so you can all see that no matter what, everything's fixable. So just go back through there. All our pages. Try not to poke yourself. I've done that a lot. It doesn't hurt that bad as long as you're not like really stabbing. You know, if you're really stabbing it, yeah, it's going to hurt. Okay. So we've got this hole poked. We don't need it quite yet, but I just want to get ready because I'm going to have to pull this really tight here in a minute. And I just want to make sure that it's lined out. It's just easier for me to do it. So I've got our hole through our papers. Okay, and I want this sitting. This is where it's going to decide where it sits. So you want to get it lined out. I'm going to pull my finger up. Yep, right about there. I'm going to go ahead, get that in the middle about. Nice little press. See where that hole's at. Okay, I'm going to scooch it over. I know you guys can't see that on camera. I'm just going to scoot the hole over a little bit because it wasn't quite in the center. And I'm going to go through our cover. Okay, now I don't have to use the awl anymore. And you can, like I said, you can punch all your holes beforehand if you don't want to fiddle around with it like that. Okay, so once we've gone through the top, we have to go back through that middle. Okay, so we're going to take our needle, and you want to hold on tight to this side. I turn my book like this, and I pull the middle string that we did the first time all the way up so that I can get my needle back through that same hole. And I'm going to pull it to the side like this, and look, because if you thread it, if you put your needle in there and you go through your thread, it will like get tangled. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that when you pull on that and then grab the inside piece, you don't pull it back out, that it will not be tangled up. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go right through this middle hole here. This is a big enough hole. I don't have to pull the string. There we go. Right through the center of the cover hole as well. So we're in, out, in, out. Now we're back on the outside. So you guessed it. We're going straight down to the bottom. Okay. And if you're like an expert, you can go through the cover and your signature at the same time. I'm not that talented, apparently. So here we go, right through the cover. I've done it on occasion, but it doesn't always happen. And then right through that bottom into the signature, and there we go. So now we can pull our clips off. Everything is going to stay where it is. And it's still a little loose. You can see the wiggle in here. So I'm going to pull really tightly and see, look how much string we have left. Like, see what I mean by it's an abundant amount. And I might have over raised it here and there, but you want to pull really, really, really tight. I mean, not like so tight that you're going to rip your pages. Like, don't raunch on it, but give it a good pull. And then you can flip it over and you can check it with your fingernail. See how loose that is? The top one is tight, but the bottom one is not. So I need to tighten up this bottom piece. Okay. So let's see if that did it. Yep. There we go. And then take your needle, the one with your needle, and go underneath the yarn at the top, the string at the top. Get your little tail out of the way. Okay. And then you're just going to tie off a knot. That's how I do mine. I don't know if that's the correct way, but it works for me, and I've never had a journal so far come undone. So I usually cut my needle off at this point, but you just go through there, tie yourself a knot. I do triple knots. It's probably a little bit extreme, but you know, and if it ever comes undone, it's not that big a deal. You've got all your holes, you've got the punch, you're ready to go, and you just rebind it. It's not a big deal, guys. So, yep, you tie yourself a triple knot if you're like me, and then you can cut your strings. And when I cut my strings, I don't like them hanging out of the page, out of the book. So I always make sure that they are up inside of my signature. And we're going to go right about there. There we go. Now, see what I'm talking about? Usually you don't have this much string left. I just added a little extra because I didn't want to show you too short of string. You don't want too short. But you can always use this for your tags. you know, or you can do some hand embroidering if you do that kind of a thing. Okay, so there we go. We have our journal bound, and look at how cute it is. Right there in the middle, it is green. I know you probably can't really tell on camera how green that is, but that is what our journal is. And this guy is really stubborn. He does not want to lay flat. As soon as I let go, it is going to just boing open. So we are going to need a closure on this one. We do have enough room here that we could do an eyelet closure. You can tell from this as well that it is going to bulge out these corners. I'll never use, well, never. I don't like that really thick cardboard. It was a little bit too thick, I think. But anyways, that's our binding. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that it helps you. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.